Hello and welcome back to the 5th episode of Byers News Network Fantasy Football Podcast, where we go over a new podcast almost every week. We did miss last week, which is why I have to say almost every week. We tried, but it's all right.
I'll take the blame for that, to be honest. It was all my fault, so sorry about that, our great listeners out there.
That's all right. And is this your first time back on the pod since like week 3?
I think so, yeah. It's been a few weeks, so it's good to be back.
Yeah. I guess we can talk about how our fantasy teams did last week.
Sure. How did your team do?
Well, a week ago, my fantasy team went 5-0. My fantasy teams went 5-0 because I got 5 of them.
Amazing.
And this week, they also went 5-0 again.
Wow, are you serious?
Yep.
That's incredible. So you're 10-0 the last 2 weeks?
I am, indeed.
You are a superstar.
It was a rocky start to the first couple of weeks for me, but since then, it's been great.
Yeah, things are coming around. That's good. I am not doing as hot. I'm 0-2. I really just have one team that I really focus on, and we are 0-2 the last 2 weeks and 3-4 overall. And yeah, just have very vastly underperformed. Yeah, last week was a week where I was like, I am just done with this, because you know how in like fantasy where if you have like a player who's just, you know, can go off 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, just becomes so much fun. And if you have multiple of those players, it's of course even more fun. I just have none of those players. Like no players are booming in any of these weeks. So it's kind of like been a pretty meh year for me. And frustration is mounting, but I'm hopeful we'll turn it around.
None of the big upside players.
Yeah, I know. Like your boy Josh Jacobs, big upside player.
Do not call him my boy. I don't like him, but he's good. Okay.
Yeah, so like him, you know, there's just some of these other players where you can get 20, 30 points, and just it's really fun to have them on your team. I'm kind of lacking, but, you know, maybe some of my guys will turn it around.
Okay, yeah. And I guess we can get into this week for our picks on Sleeper. For quarterback, I went with Daniel Jones. This is actually a quarterback that's kind of confusingly doing well, in my opinion. Like, who expected this type of season out of him?
Yeah.
Position rank number 12. He's actually being started in half of leagues. So I don't know where this came from. He's projected at almost 19 points again. He's going up against the 22nd ranked defense in the Seattle Seahawks. And he went off for 28 points last week.
Wow. Yeah, he's a really good rusher. So that really helps out with points. And if he can get you a touchdown or 2 through the ground, that's a great pick. And he's really just like a leader of that team. Good for him for playing well this year.
I'm not sure where this came from.
Yeah, I know. My pick for quarterback is Derek Carr, which I know they've been running a lot with Josh Jacobs, and they're definitely going to keep doing that. So I don't believe that this might be a huge game, but I just like how the Raiders are just finding more success overall. And I think that the Saints are a team that they will probably score some points on this week. And so I'm going to go with David Carr for my sleeper quarterback.
Yeah, and the Saints are the 22nd ranked defense against quarterbacks in the league right now. And last week, only 13 points, but he always has that upside because when you have receivers like Hunter Renfrow or Devontae Adams, of course, like there's no bad that can really happen. And he always has that upside.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a pretty good pick if you're in a lower league or kind of you need a stretch.
Yeah, and for sleeper running backs now, I went with Raheem Mostert.
Nice.
This is a guy who is in a committee, kind of.
He's the lead now.
But yeah, he seemed to turn into that lead. He's projected 14.6 points this week, so that would definitely say that it's the lead. And as we've talked about the last few weeks, the Detroit defense, it's horrible. 30th ranked against running backs. Now, the only thing with Raheem Mostert is he is questionable as of right now, but likely to play.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good pick. I think pretty much any Dolphins out there are good picks this week, especially those receivers, which we'll come back to later for me. My running back pick was Alvin Kamara, and I just think he's had a pretty decent last couple of weeks here, and he's been, getting a lot of yards and a lot of touches, obviously. Not finding as many touchdowns, but I think that starts to change this week. And they're going against the Raiders.
24th ranked
defense. But they're going to give up some points or some rushing points especially. So I think Kamara, you're probably playing him no matter what, but I think that if you are in a smaller league or if you have questions, you should for sure this week.
And this is a guy who, through the first 4 weeks, got 6 points, didn't play, got 7 points, didn't play, and then the last 3 weeks, he's gotten 23, 18, and 17. So you might look at that average that he's getting this season of 14.8 and be like, oh, that's not great for him. But it's really just dragged down by those first couple of weeks. And I think this guy is definitely good to go.
Sure. Wide receiver, where are you at on that?
Wide receiver, I went with DJ Moore. So DJ Moore is really interesting because he was in our do not starts, I think, a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because he seemed to do really just nothing with Baker Mayfield, but they got that new quarterback. He got 19 points last week, so it seems like he could be on the uptrend. Of course, he's playing Atlanta's defense, which is the 32nd ranked defense against wide receivers. And this is a guy who's projected 14. He definitely has some upside, as we saw last week. And it really could go either way with him.
Yeah, I agree. It seems to be on the up and up. So DJ Moore for you. I chose Jalen Waddle from the Dolphins for many of the reasons that you laid out with the Raheem Mostert picks. They're playing the Lions. Enough said. The Lions are a little bit better against wide receivers. 22nd ranked against wide receivers, so not good. But it's better than 32nd, of course. And Jalen Waddle also is the 8th ranked wide receiver so far this year, even though he's had a few down weeks over the last few weeks. What about for do not starts? Are we there yet?
Yeah. No, I do have one other thing to say.
Okay.
Jalen Waddle, he is also questionable for this week. Again, I do expect him to play. It looks like he was a limited participant of practice on Thursday with a shoulder injury. Yeah, so he has a shoulder injury.
I think he's going to play, though.
Limited participant. I would expect him to play.
So, I mean, Hill's definitely the better pick, probably, of the two, but
yeah.
Also, I think Waddle will play, and they're, I think, going to put up some points. So,
I think so too. And now we can move on to do not starts. Who is your do not start quarterback?
Well, my do not start is Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, who I have been pretty high on throughout this year, and I think that he's shown some promise. But they're playing Broncos this week.
First ranked defense against quarterbacks.
Yeah, so I'm going to sit Trevor Lawrence out there and, mainly give that to this defensive attack, which has got a lot of good pass rush. And I think he kind of has fallen apart with those kind of situations. So Lawrence, I don't think is a great play this week.
Yeah. He is again going against the best defense against quarterbacks. And he's actually the 11th ranked quarterback in the league so far for fantasy, but I do think this is a week where you might want to try to find someone else. But if there's no one else, you could go to Trevor Lawrence. And for me, for my quarterback, I went with Aaron Rodgers. So we thought Green Bay was, of course, going to be really good, but it just hasn't seemed to be good. And Aaron Rodgers, questionable. Another guy that's questionable this week.
Ooh.
So he's he's got something going on with him. He's going up against the 3rd ranked defense,
Bills.
Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
That's a really scary matchup.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers can't be trusted yet.
It's also at Buffalo at night too, Sunday night. So I think that they're gonna wreck Green Bay. Buffalo is.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Who is your running back?
Running back I'm choosing. I actually am excited for him to come back, DeAndre Swift, and hopefully this week and see what's going on with him. But I think he's a do not start for this week just to, because of the probably lower usage rates and him coming off injury and just not a lot of certainty there. So DeAndre Swift, I still think we should be waiting a week or so to see how his injuries are healing and to make sure he's in a good spot for more touches with the offense. So I think Swift, we're going to sit this week, even though maybe it is a shootout with Miami, but I think that he's probably going to be doing a lot of committee work this week.
And he does seem to be healthy.
That's good, at least.
So we'll have to wait a week. And I think it's been a theme with us to just wait a week on players coming back from injury.
I agree.
For my running back, I went with Aaron Jones. Again, another part of that Green Bay offense with Aaron Rodgers. He is also in a committee, which we did not expect, really. But you got AJ Dillon in the backfield with him. And that's, again, going up against Buffalo on 5th ranked against running backs. This just isn't the week for him, even though he is coming off of that big game, almost 30 points last week.
Yeah, that was promising. But yeah, Buffalo's pretty scary all around for Green Bay here. I like that pick.
Yeah, and I guess to finish it up, we have do not start wide receivers. And guess what? We both went with the same guy.
Nice. Who'd you pick?
Curtis Samuel.
Oh, Curtis.
Yep. Only projected 10 points. Really kind of surprising considering he's averaging 13, got 13 last week. But the biggest thing with him is he's going up against the best defense against wide receivers. This is by no means the best defense. It's just the best defense against wide receiver for fantasy production, and that's the Colts.
Yeah.
So this is a guy who could be scary to want to start. And I mean, I guess he has some upside with carries out of the backfield. He had 5 last week.
Yeah. But I think that's where you're getting at. It doesn't seem like a ton of upside. I think the first couple of weeks of the season, he caught a touchdown each week and whatnot. It seemed like there was going to be more, but it really feels like he's kind of, a really second, third, fourth option here and really going to get some first downs here and there, but not be like a big touchdown, big target getter. So I think.
And he started the season with 11 targets for 19 points, 9 targets the next week for 22 points. Both of those weeks had a touchdown in it. The next week, 10 targets, only 13 points because no touchdown. And then after that, it was 7 targets, 7 points, no rush attempts, no touchdowns. 8 targets the next week, 12 points, no rush attempts, no touchdowns. 5 targets week 6 against Chicago, only 2 catches for 6 yards, 2.6 points, no touchdowns, no carries out of the backfield. And for targets this last week against Green Bay, he did have 8, which I guess is good, only 13 points. So that's like his best he's done since week 3.
Yeah, so I think hopefully he'll come around, but I think right now he's got to show us a little bit more involvement, and especially with the new quarterback Heineke, and then we'll put him back into our starting lineups.
Yeah. We didn't even talk about that new quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, he played with him for the last couple of weeks last year, but I mean, we'll have to see how that chemistry is looking.
Sure.
Do you have any exciting players that you're looking forward to watching?
I just want all of my people to do well. Give me some boosts here. I want to see McCaffrey do some good work on the 49ers here. I'm really curious about that. I have to, because of injuries, start Cortland Sutton. So I'm really sad about that. But you know what? If he had a big game, that would make my whole life. I am looking forward to seeing what Dameon Pierce. I want him to rise up and get some. Yeah, I need some need something. You know, I had a tough night last night. I was hoping Mark Andrews was going to be that person. Started off good, got injured. Their backup tight end goes for like 20 points. So I just need some good juju out there and you know, some fantasy love.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give it to me.
I'll try. I mean, yeah, because I've been doing so well.
I know.
Yeah. For me, I have a team that's projected 139 points. So that's exciting. See if they can reach that or even go above and beyond. You know, you got Tua, Joe Mixon, Josh Jacobs, Tyreek Hill, A.J. Brown, Darren Waller, Christian McCaffrey. Then you got Eagles defense and Evan McPherson. Then on the bench, you've got DeAndre Hopkins, Terry McLaurin, Tony Pollard. Like
solid team.
This is the team that I've really been watching this year that I'm excited for. And somehow they're only 4-3. But you know, I think they're going. They're getting ready to take off.
Nice.
They're a rocket ship.
Well, best of luck to you this week.
And you as well.
Well, cheers.
Cheers,
Happy week 8 and excited to be back next week.
Yeah, thank you everybody for listening. Make sure to subscribe, like, turn on notifications, comment something if you'd like. And thank you for listening. Goodbye.